Welcome back to I Need a Coach, where we interview top coaches, experts, authors, and speakers, hear who they help, how they help them, and how they grow their business. My name's Adam Packard, and for the last 7 years, we've worked with over 500 coaches, consultants, speakers in business development, and helping them market themselves effectively to generate more business. Today, my guest is Jason Weiss. He is a practicing attorney and also a consultant for attorneys. And if you're an attorney and you're frustrated, he's got a book out called Shit They Don't Teach You in Law School. And he just sent it to me, and I'm looking forward to going through that. And I think you'll enjoy some of the nuggets that he shares on this podcast. Enjoy. Okay, welcome back to I Need a Coach. I'm your host, Adam Packard, and with me today is Jason Weiss. Jason, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Adam, for having me. I truly appreciate it.
Absolutely. So I know you and I talked probably a few months back, and I love kind of your approach and offer and just the way it's just no BS. It's just kind of an honest conversation that we had. But give the audience a little background into maybe what you did prior to getting into coaching and now some of the coaching work that you're doing, and we'll start there.
So as my friends and family like to say, I'm a recovering attorney. What does that mean? It means that I'm still an attorney. I'm still in the practice of law, but I'm trying to get out of the practice of law. And one of the things that I'm focusing on is trying to help attorneys that, after they spend $100,000 plus on law school and take out all the loans and all the time and effort, and they go, oh, snap. Now, what did I get myself into? I'm trying to help attorneys know that it's okay. There is life after law school. There is life after, stopping practice of law, and there are alternatives available.
Nice. So how long have you been doing this? What's your coaching model look like? And tell us a little bit more there.
So I've been doing this for about 3 years now. So in the first year, it was kind of informal. I was always taking on mentorship programs at firms when I was there. And I would always take on interns for the summer and do all that. And a couple of attorneys that were younger, that were actually on the opposite side of cases of me a little before COVID and during COVID, they were like, you should get into coaching. You should get, into teaching. You should go back into the classroom. And I said, I would love to. I got to find some time. I got to find some energy, every excuse in the book. And finally, I said, you know what? Let's go for it. I took some classes. I got certified by the University of Miami, some sort of coaching program. I got my mediator certificate. And here I sit. And basically, all I'm doing is telling people about, what I did right, what I did wrong, and what I learned. And that's the biggest thing. Learn, and then learn some more.
So what's the goal with the lawyers that you coach? What's the outcome? What's the result that you are trying to help them achieve?
Number one is you're not alone. You're not alone. What you're going through, every attorney goes through it. I don't care if there's any attorney on the planet that says, I love what I do nonstop and I'm BS. I'm calling BS on it. There's always a problem. And it's funny because I pride myself on, it's called the practice of law. It's not the art of law. It's not the science of law. It's not the law of law. It's the practice of law. And what I mean by that is you try it. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, you go back to the drawing board and you try again. And I'm not saying, if somebody's, getting ready to be sentenced to death that you experiment, but little things here and there, you figure out what works for you and you run with it. And again, it's called the practice of law.
And so the name of the book that you have is called what?
I don't know if we're allowed to use vulgarities, but it's called the stuff.
This is an R-rated show.
Right. Okay. So it's shit they never taught you in law school, or as my daughter would say, the money sign hit they never taught you in law school, the survival guide to navigating the law. And basically it's 18 chapters about the law. One of them is actually called The Practice of Law for a reason. Things like you're only as good as your book of business. Business will be personal. And I touch on all of the things that you don't learn in the classroom. And that's one of the big things that where I think law school fails. You got all this great knowledge. You know all this great stuff. Let's put it to play in the real world while somebody is looking over your shoulder. And that might be nice. We don't just hand out a driver's license to people. We make them actually get a learner's permit for a year or 6 months, depending on your state. We should be doing the same with lawyers and all professionals.
So give us some nuggets. So what are some things that they didn't teach you in law school that are in that book that you can help other lawyers with?
So one of the things that's big is business is personal. So what do I mean? I mean two things. Number one, you're going to do business with people that you like, and people are going to do business with you if they like you, right? If someone picks up the phone and goes, oh God, I can't stand my attorney, I don't want to speak to him or her, I'm going to push it through to voicemail. Or, hey, I can't believe it's client A calling. I can't believe I don't want to deal with client A, right? You got to learn that. And again, you need to learn that, business is personal. You want to relate to the person. You want to get an understanding. You want the person to feel for you. And the other thing is that you're going to take it personally, meaning I've got cases where I'll call the client. I'm like, hey, you got sued again, and they're naming you in your individual name. And my client's like, all right, get me out of it. Me, I'm all pissed. I'm calling the other side and I'm like, why are you naming my client in his individual name? And why are you doing this? And why are you doing that? It's the corporation. So I take it more personal than the client. And you need to tame that down a little bit. And I have to learn myself from that. I'll reread that chapter once a week. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, I have a few attorneys that are clients and doing some of the onboarding and background, understanding the stress levels. It's one of the higher stress careers. So do you address that, and how do you address the stress levels and time management and having never ending to-do lists and bringing work home? Is there any suggestions or tips there?
I cover all of that in this version of the book. Don't have that knee-jerk reaction, right? When you get that email in and you want to yell and scream and fire off emails. No, take a deep breath. Take a step back, write that email, send it to only yourself. Keep it in your drafts. Don't send it. Go back and read it when you're not so heated or upset. Or, true story. It happened to me this morning. I was in the middle of doing a couple of things, and my wife, yells down, hey, can you help me? And I go running upstairs, and the knob on the shower broke. And as the knob on the shower broke, I'm getting ready for a hearing, and I had to take a deep breath and say, okay, the shower and the running water and the water bill and what do I do can't affect me when I'm in front of the judge. And I took 2 or 3 minutes, and I put on a shirt with a tie and, my suit pants, and took a deep breath and showed up. And I just cut the whole water to the house. So right now I'm sitting here with no water. Plumber's on his way. And that's another thing. $400 or $500 on a plumber to fix something. What am I going to do? What is it? The biggest thing that lawyers have as a challenge is every minute of our lives translates into $1. And what do I mean? We live our lives by the billable hour, right? I'm $425 an hour. If it took me, a half hour to screw around with, the faucet, I just lost $200 and something, $212, whatever that is. And it's sad that I know that. $212.50, to be honest. That's part of the problem. So when we're thinking about, oh my God, I'm not working on so-and-so's file, I'm losing money. It's drilled into us through the practice of law. And sometimes you got to take that step back and figure out, is it worth it? And what else can I do with my life? And that's where I'm at.
Yeah. And so let's kind of dive into some business building practices. So You've been doing this for a few years. Obviously, we know there are a lot of attorneys out there, and after COVID, there seems to be a lot more attorney coaches that can help. So how do you differentiate? Obviously, you're no BS and easy to have a conversation with and just kind of say it like it is. But when you started this business of coaching, obviously it's a completely different ball game than billable hours with clients. How did you make that transition? What did where'd you get your first clients, and what are some of your marketing ideas that you implement?
So my first client was literally someone who was on the other side of a case. When the case was over, he called me up and he said, thank you so much. He was new to this area of the law. I kind of showed him the way, told him what to look for, gave him hints in the future and that kind of stuff. And he said to me, and I remember I was walking with my wife. It was like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, and we're on our nightly walk. And he called me up and we chatted for like a half hour. And that was my first client. And then my second client was an attorney who's like, I can't take this anymore. I hate my job. I hate the state of Florida. I need to leave. I don't know where to go. And we sat and we figured it out. Where do you see yourself living in 5 years? What do you see yourself doing? What's the area of law? What's your end goal? And his end goal was not to be a lawyer. His end goal was to buy real estate up north and start a farm. And that's what he wanted to do. We wound up getting him in the right mindset that he could do it. He worked real hard for 2 years, saved up the money, bought a place up north, and is now doing contract work while farming. And he loves it.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's awesome.
I don't, and part of the problem that I have as a coach or some of these things is, they offer programs and they offer courses and all of this. And I started doing that, right? I was halfway down and I'm like, this just doesn't apply to everybody. It was kind of like a choose your own adventure book from when I was a kid. You read and then you choose which path to go. And there's like hundreds of different paths. I always say start from the end and work backwards. And I do this with my son. My son is a college-bound lacrosse player, hasn't committed yet. And I said to him, Logan, where do you want to end up? I want to live in New York or Florida, and I want to run a business. And how are you going to do that? I want an MBA. And where do you want your MBA from? These schools. Okay. And what's the best way to get into these schools? Well, if I go to undergrad at those schools or these schools. And that's how we're doing it. He'd love to go play D1 lacrosse, but the D1 lacrosse school that he might go to might not have the education that helps him go straight to, UPenn, Duke, Princeton, Yale at the end. That's where he wants to wind up. So we need to make sure that he does everything in his power so that he can get his MBA from one of those schools and go and hopefully Florida, where I'm living, he'll start a business or go work and do something. Mm-hmm. So I tell that to my law clients or my law, the people that I consult with. I don't say I coach, I consult. Because coaching would mean, okay, this is what you have to do. This is what you have to do. I don't do that. I will get with you and we'll figure out what you want to do. Jason, I only want to work 9 to 5. I don't care about driving a sports car. I don't care about this. That's what I want. I want to hit yoga. I want to hit the gym. Great. Then you shouldn't be at a big firm where you're required to do 2,400 billable hours. You might want to go insurance defense. I want to write. I never want to see a client. Great. You should be doing appellate law. I have emotional scars from when my parents got divorced when I was a kid. You shouldn't go into family law. Yeah, that type of.
Yeah.
And I don't like, again, I think a coach is more like, rah, 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 you did great. And also, well, you should do it this way. I'm more like, okay, where do you want to end up? Let's get you there. Have you ever thought? So I ask more questions than I give answers. And that's why I consider myself a consultant, not really a coach.
Yeah. And then, do you find it easier working with newer attorneys, or because a lot of guys that have been in this business for a while are probably like, I know exactly what to do and blah, blah, blah. So how do you kind of break through exactly, right? How do you kind of break through the noise and get them to open up? Because guys are reluctant usually to share their problems. We're problem solvers, right? So how do you kind of break through that?
And especially attorneys. So the only negative feedback I've gotten about my book is that I should have put it out years earlier. And when I say years earlier, I have friends that are 7, 10, 15 years, and they're like, I would have read this 10 years out of school or 5 years out of school. I think my sweet spot is not so much age or experience, it's level of frustration. When you get to that final frustration point, I can't keep coughing. It's been 3 weeks. It's time for me to go to the doctor. I can't believe this cut on my hand still isn't healing. It's time to go to the doctor. I feel that that's my niche. That's my area. I can't keep doing this anymore. I just got shafted on a bonus. I didn't get a raise. I'm not happy with what I'm doing. So I'm 0 for 3. I got to find something. Mm-hmm. And I see it on social media. I see it in chat groups. I see it in all of that. So it's usually when the frustration gets to the point where that individual says, I'm ready for a change. That's my ideal person to work with.
Yeah.
Not the person who hey, I can help you do this better. No, thanks. I got this covered. It's the, okay, I don't know what I want to do with my life. And there are hundreds of thousands of attorneys that are saying that, myself included.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So let me ask you this. Now, my only experience with attorneys is watching Harvey Specter on Suits. So that's kind of my my take on what the law is. But what a great show! So what are your goals for this year? Like, what are you putting into place that maybe you didn't do in 2023 that in this year? Whether it's marketing ideas, obviously the book, you're going to promote that, but outside of warm market and referrals. How do you get people to raise their hand and say, I'm frustrated?
So first thing is the book, right? I'm getting it out there. I just finished a photo shoot. The book's only been out not even 30 days. So, and I didn't do like a hard push. I put it out there and I sold enough to become a bestseller, which is cool. So now I can say I'm a best-selling author. Okay. Pushing the book, writing a sequel, already 10,000 words into it. It's just flowing. And that's more for me than the potential readers. I'm probably going to be joining a mediation practice so I can go ahead and start mediating more. And that will give me a little bit of exposure as well. And, just guest appearances on various different podcast shows and just making people aware that, that again, they're not alone. And that's the big thing. You're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone.
Is your goal to do this full time?
My goal is to do.
So you do this with your clients. So like, what's the end result, right? So 5 years from now, where do you want the business to be, and what does your life look like?
5 years from now, I want to be focusing on two things. Number one, being a mediator, because I really, really enjoy that. And number two will be consulting with attorneys that are just not happy. And it could be, consulting on a case, consulting on a lifestyle, consulting, just consulting. Freeing up a little bit of my day. I'm working 60, 70 hours a week, which is a bit much. I'd like to scale that back to maybe 40 or 50 and, just be able to shut down. I find with mediations and with consulting that, hey, look, I'm available 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., 6:30 p.m. The world's not on fire. I don't have a deadline to meet. It can wait till tomorrow.
Yeah.
In the practice of law, you don't have that luxury. So that would be one of the things that I, 5 years from now, I'm taking time off. I'm enjoying, and I'm able to disconnect.
Yeah.
And there's a huge financial part to that too.
Right. So the second book, do you have a title for it?
More shit they never taught you in law school.
And then the next one would be even more shit that they didn't do.
I think the other one is going to be either called supplemental shit they never taught you or something like that. For me, the writing of the book, I mean, look, I'd love to make money and go speak and go do whatever, but it was very relaxing for me. And it was great. And I found myself when the book was done and in the can and all of this, I was sitting around. I was like, I don't have free time. But I kind of feel like I'm missing something. And I started writing again. And it was great. 10,000 words came out like that. So I'm hoping the second book will be longer because this first one's only like 160 pages. I'm going to shoot for like 220.
Okay, there you go. I love it. So if obviously we have people listening to the show that are fellow coaches, we have people that are looking for a coach. So where can people find more about you, the book, whether they're attorneys that are frustrated or coaches that maybe just want to connect and have a cool guy that, hey, I've got a lawyer that's frustrated that I know that they might be able to refer to you?
So I have a website that's up in, it's being tweaked, but it's askjasonweiss.com. You can find me on LinkedIn. I think it's Jason-S-Weiss. Those are the two best places. I'm trying to keep my law practice separate, so I'm not going to go ahead and give that one out because, look, if you need a lawyer, that's a different story. But right now, I'm not looking to bring on new attorney related cases or more work. I'm really looking to try to give back. And, the stuff they never taught you in law school, how to deal with a difficult client, how to deal with a difficult boss or a judge or an opposing counsel. Like, they don't teach you that. And a lot of us just instinctively either want to fight or stick our head in the sand. And the answer is neither is correct.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not going to tell you what the right answer is. I'm going to find out your personality. You, Adam, from speaking with you, I think you're not the stick your head in the sand type guy. You're the, okay, take a deep breath. Let's take a step back. Let's figure out the situation and let's move forward. Like from the couple of times we've spoken, that's you. You're calm, collected. You go for it. Like you get it. You listen. Me, I have that knee-jerk reaction. I just want to pick up the phone and start yelling and screaming. So I'll go outside in my backyard and I'll check out my, one of my plants or one of my trees or something like that. Or I'll take the dog and we'll walk down to the curb and get the mail. For me to go, okay, smell the fart acting like Joey Tribbiani did in Friends. Take that. And then that works for me. Send that email to somebody I work with saying, is this too much? So you gotta figure out your personality. And again, I think I nailed your personality right off the bat, that you're like that calm, cool, collected, like, all right, this got to me. I'm going to take care of it. Give me 5 minutes to breathe and figure it out. And then you're going to go ahead and you're going to do it right.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, hey, that's awesome to reconnect. Looking forward to partnering up and helping you in 2024. And hopefully we get this out to a lot of attorneys that might need some help and get you some extra exposure, get them the book in their hands and help them be less frustrated. So thanks for coming on the show, and let's stay connected for sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of I Need a Coach. If you've made it this far, I genuinely appreciate your dedication. Putting this podcast together takes a lot of time and energy. And in return, we only ask one thing, which is if you could please leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. This helps our show get in front of more people so we can help more people. This is Adam Packard signing off. Keep coaching, keep thriving, and see you in the next episode.